Wowzers, the last time we did this, you guys broke our record for the most views in 24 hours with over 450 views. Clearly you guys like this type of video, so here we are. One of the most fun aspects of writing fiction is world building, especially in fantasy and sci-fi. But one of the common problems is when we have a character who has to explain the world building to the audience, usually in exposition. Today we're looking at Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which does a great job at showing world building through dialogue without explicitly explaining to us the world. Before we begin, I have a special announcement at the end of this video regarding a special free online event called The Noob's Guide to Screenwriting in 2024. Watch till the end of this video to learn more about this event. Before we begin, hit the subscribe button for more whimsical content like this one. So let's take a look at this opening scene. We get right into the story by quickly giving the audience a taste of the world building, plot, and character.
I should have known that you would be here, Professor McGonagall.
This line is brilliant for not only piquing our interest when we see this old man speaking to a cat after he just removed the lights from the street, but also becomes a fantastic introduction to an important character in the story.
Do you think it wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this?
This line already gives us a hint into the upcoming plot, but also showcases the thoughts and fears of our characters. This gives weight into what's happening.
Professor, I would trust Hagrid with my life.
Already tells us how trustworthy and dependable Hagrid is and how much they value their friendship.
I've watched them all day. They're the worst sort of muggles imaginable.
Notice how McGonagall refers to the Vernons as muggles. This not only tells us that there's a kind of people known as muggles, but the fact that these magical users say such things suggests how they're two distinct types of people. Possible that muggles are non-magical people, while there are magical people like wizards and witches, which we soon find out. Also, McGonagall saying the Vernons are the worst kind gives us a bit of foreshadowing into the problem that Harry will have to deal with growing up.
They really are.
The only family he has.
This gives insight into Harry's situation, which is not ideal. Already our character is put in a flawed situation that we're going to want to root for to succeed.
This boy will be famous. There won't be a child in our world who doesn't know his name.
What a setup. We know Harry's a very extraordinary character put in an ordinary situation. We know Harry's life won't be exciting, but it will be later on. Again, we really want to root for this character.
Good luck, Harry Potter.
Already we've learned that there's a world of magic and non-magic. Harry is being dropped to the only family he has. We also know that there's something special about Harry that makes him famous in this magical world, and he won't even know how special he is until he's ready. This is how you set up a character, plot, and world building in a single scene without explicit exposition. Alright, now we're being introduced to the Dursleys. With one line, we're setting up Harry's relationship to the Dursleys.
Up! Get up! Now!
Harry gets shouted at before he's even awake as he gets up from under a dirty staircase without a pair of pajamas, wearing old ragged clothes clearly too big for him, while getting bullied by this fat, cheerful cousin wearing much nicer fitting, colorful clothes. I just have to say, Dudley's reaction to his presence is hilarious.
36, but last year I had 37!
Spoiled beyond repair, until you see that one deleted scene from Harry Potter 8, but that's a different story altogether.
I don't think you're a waste of space.
Later on, the Dursleys and Harry Potter go to the zoo. This interaction is fascinating. First, the Vernons try to get the snake to interact, but then get bored and move on. So Harry speaks with the snake. At first, Harry speaking to the snake tells us a lot about him as a character, his thoughts, hopes, dreams, and wants. But then something interesting happened. The snake is actually reacting to Harry as if they're having a conversation. This is very, very subtle world building to touch on the magic that Harry has, and a hint of foreshadowing. And if you're really interested in what this power is, well, it convinces you to want to watch all 8 movies to find out. The snake actually saying, "Thanks," is just the cherry on top to the scene, aside from Dudley being put in the cage. Now, it's not clear if everyone can hear the snake speaking English to Harry, or if this is meant to be just between Harry and the snake, but we'll assume the latter considering how special Harry is. We're going to skip a few scenes which basically shows how Harry's been receiving invitations for Hogwarts, and then on the day of his birthday, Hagrid personally comes to fetch Harry, which, by the way, according to Save the Cat, these scenes are the catalyst and the debate beats of your story. Now, if you haven't heard of Save the Cat, then what are you doing? You need to go check it out. It's a fantastic book. But the author talks about a scene being a catalyst and a debate. A catalyst basically kickstarts your main character from their old world and pushes them into their new world or their new reality. The debate happens right after the catalyst, where your character needs to have a conversation and maybe get some more information and really think about whether or not they want to pursue this new reality or new world or not. But eventually they're going to go into the new world regardless. Now, these scenes don't really have any particular dialogue I want to focus on, but you'll notice that in this scene is how the dialogue is used for exposition. Exposition is when the character are explicitly telling the audience information to lead event. Sometimes exposition isn't a great way to go on and can lead to what's called an exposition dump, which is when your character gives too much exposition for it to feel natural. However, this scene does a great job at not being an info dump for one major distinction. Exposition has to be necessary information for the audience, and by extension, the characters to learn at this very moment. Alright, back to Act 2. Before we continue, we're about to discover essentially an alternative world called the Wizarding World. Now, you need to stoke your audience curiosity. See, we've heard about this alternative world, but we don't know if that's where we're going right now. But when Harry says,
Can we find all this in London?
If you know where to go.
now we're getting hinted at something unique is about to happen. Trying to lead your audience and get them excited can do more good than simply dumping your characters into a B-story world.
Bless my soul. It's Harry Potter.
Once again, we're piquing some curiosity as to what's so special about our main protagonist. Something is up and we want answers. Cue the exposition. This next scene is a lot of fun to watch because the information we learn in the scene goes hand in hand at letting us know about the world building, plot, and some foreshadowing. We learn that this shop is where all the wizards and witches go to get their wand. Harry tries a few wands, but they don't sit well with Harry. Finally, Harry is handed a wand which seems to match Harry. However, then Ollivander adds,
Curious. Very curious.
which naturally leads Harry to then ask,
Sorry, but what's curious?
but Ollivander doesn't give an explicit information,
We do not speak his name.
but does tell us a bunch of information like this.
I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. It is curious that you should be destined for this wand when its brother gave you that scar. But we can expect great things from you. He who must not be named did great things. Terrible, but great.
Which is not only a fascinating bit of world building info since we get to learn how wands are made, but it also leads us into this foreshadowing and appropriate exposition, explaining how the two wands are connected. Alright, after Harry gets all his stuff, he goes on a train to head to Hogwarts and he meets his new best friend, Ron.
Wicked.
Love how in the context of the Wizarding World that Ron didn't just say cool or that's awesome, but wicked. If this was intentional world building, having subtle phrases like these also gives more details into the world, cause think about it, everywhere will always have their own words and lingo. Having these gives more depth into your world. So while Harry and Ron are discussing wizarding trading cards, Harry obtains one on Albus Dumbledore. Except one moment he's there, next moment he's gone. And Ron responds with,
Well, you can't expect him to run around all day, can you?
This is peak whimsical writing, subverting our expectations based on our knowledge from the real world or / our world and giving us a completely different outcome than we expect. Boy, this magic world gets more and more fascinating. Alright, so just to recap, first, in order to differentiate our quote normal world from a fictional one, you need to give clues to things that would be different, such as,
I should have known that you would be here, Professor McGonagall.
Well, you can't expect him to run around all day, can you?
second, to suggest different races or types considering a character's perspective and the words they use to refer to something or someone, such as,
They're the worst sort of muggles imaginable.
third, if you want to make a person, place, thing, or idea feel like a big deal, then we need to hear it and see it from the characters, such as when everyone talks about how special Harry Potter is. Fourthly, having your characters explain certain things about the world, setting, or history can work as long as it's used when the audience must need and want this information. Fifthly, You can use your world building to assist in plot exposition so it doesn't feel out of nowhere, such as when Ollivander points out how Harry's wand is a twin to another wand responsible for giving Harry his scar. Sixthly, remember that different worlds will also have their own unique words and phrases, and by sprinkling them in once in a while can give extra depth to your world, such as
Muggles.
Wicked.
I'm releasing a very special event called The Noob's Guide to Screenwriting in 2024. These are 2 webinars. One is called Movie Script Basics and the other is called Script and World Building. Both are free to attend, and with these webinars I get to partner with my good friends at SoCreate and Scryte that I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with if you've been fans on my channel for a while, and we're going to bring you some awesome value in the next couple weeks. So it's these upcoming Sundays. Dates are on the screen right now. Again, tickets are free. You can get them at Eventbrite. Tickets are down in the description below, and I hope to see you there.